In this series, we'll be constructing Ash's ultimate team if he was a champion specialising in one specific type of Pokemon, using Pokemon he's caught or bonded with in the past. To check out the previous episodes, click the playlist in the video description. And now, in this video, we'll investigate what if Ash was a fairy type champion. Ashy Boy has only ever owned one fairy type Pokemon, so this should be an interesting one. Also, it's the second to last episode of the series too, which is insane. Be sure to let me know the team that you'd give Ash in the comments below, and also be sure to smash the thumbs up button and the subscribe button too. Help us hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of March. So, without further ado, let's hop straight into it. The first member of Ash's fairy type champion team will be Ash's Mr. Mime. This is probably the only obvious pick, since Mimey is Ash's only fairy type Pokemon. We've only seen Mr. Mime battling occasionally, but he killed it every single time. Like in the Flute Cup, for example. Mimey dodged every attack easily, then hit Hariyama with a powerful focus punch, then surrounded it in a ton of reflects so it couldn't move, and finally finished it off with a powerful psychic. Mimey didn't even break a sweat in that battle. Also, overall, the whole team's only two weaknesses are Poison type Pokemon and Steel type Pokemon. But Mr. Mime is part Psychic, so it can easily deal with Poison types, and it knows some powerful Fighting type moves, so it can deal with Steel type Pokemon too. That makes Mr. Mime a perfect fit for the team. It can take on the team's only two weaknesses. The only thing to note is that Mr. Mime will probably need to do some more bonding and training with Ash, because it spent most of its time with Delia, Ash's mum. And this lack of synergy with Ash was shown when it refused to battle in the middle of the Flute Cup. But I'm sure with enough time, bonding and training, they can overcome it. The second member of this team will be Ash's Wigglytuff. Ash never caught a Wigglytuff, but I always wanted him to catch the recurring singing Jigglypuff. It had so much personality, it loved following Ash around, and it had its own issues to overcome, like learning how to sing without putting people to sleep. Nowadays in the anime, those three elements would make Ash incredibly likely to catch Jigglypuff, so that he can help it out. But back then, Ash was just way too much of a rookie, so it makes sense why he didn't catch Jigglypuff. So, I think Ash Ketchum should catch Jigglypuff for this team and evolve it into a Wigglytuff. If Ash can help Wigglytuff master its singing so that it has full control over who it puts to sleep with its singing, then it's gonna be absolutely unstoppable. We all know the power of that Jigglypuff's sing attack. It can put anyone and anything to sleep. So if Ash had that power on his team, he would never lose. He can just put every opponent to sleep and then defeat them. Wigglytuff can also float around, and having a flying Pokemon on the team always comes in handy. Plus, if you've played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, then you should know the true power of Wigglytuff. Yumta. That is all I'll say. The third member of Ash's fairy type team will be Ash's Clefable. Ash wanted to and tried to catch a Clefairy in the original series, so he clearly wants one. But in particular, I want Ashy Boy to catch a certain Clefairy. In Johto, Ash found a baby Cleffa that fell from a UFO, and he and his Fampi bonded greatly with this little baby Cleffa, protecting it from multiple villains until they eventually returned it to its family. Cleffa evolved into a Clefairy and bid farewell to them, with Ash flat out promising Fampi that they would see Clefairy again someday. And I want that day to come now. I want Clefairy to return as a Clefable and for it to reunite with Ash and join his team. They have a pre-established bond and a great level of trust, and also Clefable can float around using cosmic power, so that gives it tons of utility. Clefable can learn a ridiculous amount of psychic type moves, to the point that I honestly think it should be a fairy and psychic type Pokemon. And it can learn so many fire type moves too, so that makes it fantastic for countering the team's biggest weaknesses, Poison type Pokemon and Steel type Pokemon. And finally, with moves like Protect, Soft Boiled, and Wish 2, it's gonna be a really useful defensive supporter for the team. The fourth member of this champion team will be Ash's Whimsicott. This one may seem a little bit confusing from the offset, but truthfully, Ash has bonded with almost no fairy-type Pokemon, so we are kinda limited for choice, but regardless, I think this pick makes a lot of sense. In Unova, Ash and his friends met a little Cottony who was madly in love with another Cottony, and he wanted to migrate with her and start a life together. But Cottony was super weak and inexperienced with battling, so he couldn't impress the Cottony that he loved. So Ash spent the day training with Cottony and going above and beyond to train him to be stronger and stronger, both physically and emotionally, all to impress the Cottony that he loved. So after all of its training, Cottony, with its newfound strength, left to start a new life with his love after impressing her, with Ash and the others bidding them farewell. This might be a little dark, but maybe Cottony got rejected by his love later on, and maybe they split apart. I mean, truly, the context doesn't really matter, as long as Cottony isn't with his girlfriend anymore, so he can return to Ash instead. I want Cottony to remember that Ash was the one who trained him, so Cottony will go and find Ash, and join his side in this team. Under Ash's care, Cottony can evolve into a Whimsicott, and he can be a super effective, supportive fighter in this fairy-type team. All of Whimsicott's Pokédex entries emphasize how it flies around and is incredibly slippery, dodging attacks and effortlessly moving through tiny gaps. I think Whimsicott could fly around, dodging every attack, and raining down endless status moves, like Poison Powder, Stun Spore, and more. He can really be used to set up opponents so they can be swept by other team members. He would be an absolute nightmare to deal with. Not every Pokemon has to be an ace, and I think being a supporter is perfect for Whimsicott. The fifth member of Ash's Ultimate Fairy-type team will be Ash's Alcremie. Look, I know you're probably thinking, huh? Alcremie? Isn't that like crazy puny and weak? Why would it be in Ash's champion team? Well, just hear me out, okay? I bet I can justify it to you. In Pokemon Journeys, Ash worked alongside a little caramel swirl Alcremie in Opal's cake decorating tournament. They got on incredibly well, to the point that they even won the whole tournament with this masterpiece cake. They even beat Leon in the tournament. So much for the unbeatable champion. But anyway, I was really hoping that Ash would keep Alcremie after the tournament, because it would have been so unique and different for Ash to train such a tiny, adorable Pokemon like that, who you would never ever typically associate with battling. Alcremie's body is so sludgy that it slows down opponents and takes reduced damage from opponents when they make contact with its body, because parts of the cream of Alcremie's body begins to cover the opponents while battling. And then with the opponent slowed down, Alcremie can strike with Attract, making the opponent even more immobilized, by love too. And if you haven't guessed it by now, Alcremie will also hold the gimmick of this team, Gigantamax Alcremie. Alcremie is going to become a 100-foot tall monster, and with its G-Max finale move, it can heal itself while dealing huge damage to opponents. Just imagine the potential this Alcremie has. It looks super weak and innocent, so opponents would get overconfident and go all out on the offense. But when they attack Alcremie, the cream from Alcremie's body will begin to slow them down, and then Alcremie will strike back with Attract to immobilize them even more. Then Alcremie would Gigantamax into an absolute monster and absolutely demolish them while they're unable to even move or react at all. Alcremie is going to be an absolute beast in this team. Do not underestimate it. The sixth and final member of Ash's Fairy-type champion team will be Ash's Zacian. I don't think a legendary Pokemon has ever suited Ash as much as Zacian does. Zacian has the third highest attack stat and the fifth highest speed stat out of any Pokemon ever. And what exactly is Ash's battle style again? Speedy, maneuverable, and high offense Pokemon. So Zacian is absolutely beyond perfect for Ash. Their battle styles align so incredibly well, zooming around, dodging attacks, then smashing into opponents with unbelievable strength, just like Ash does with Pikachu. And to make this even more perfect, Zacian chose to show itself to Ash in the Slumbering Weald, where they had a battle. And then later on, Ash used the Rusted Sword to summon Zacian, and they battled alongside each other and defeated Eternatus. Ash and Zacian had so much respect for each other, and they chose to rely on each other to overcome the darkest day. So I think they would be incredible working together in Ash's ultimate Fairy-type team. Of course too, Zacian doesn't really have any super important role in Galar anymore, since the darkest day has been resolved. But even if anything like that ever happens again, I'm sure that Zacian can just teleport there and deal with it like it usually does. What is absolutely phenomenal about Zacian on this team too is its typing. The team's only weaknesses are Poison-type Pokemon and Steel-type Pokemon. Zacian is immune to Poison-type Pokemon and takes neutral damage from Steel-type Pokemon. That is absolutely incredible. It means that Ash can send Zacian out to battle any opponent that are super effective against the team, because all of the team's weaknesses can easily be handled by Zacian. And let's be honest, do you really think any opponent would be able to defeat Zacian in battle? Those Pokemon wouldn't stand a chance. Especially when Zacian also has unbelievably powerful moves that can counter the weaknesses. It has crazy strong fighting type moves like Sacred Sword and Close Combat to deal with Steel type Pokemon, and it has unbelievably powerful psychic type moves too, like Psychic Fang, to deal with Poison type Pokemon. I cannot emphasize enough how Zacian's presence in this team literally negates every single weakness that this team has. Any Pokemon that could ever pose a threat to this team, Zacian can demolish them. Honestly, I cannot believe how perfect Zacian is to conclude Ash's Fairy-type champion team. So, overall, if Ash was a Fairy-type champion, I believe his ultimate team would be Mr. Mime, Wigglytuff, Clefable, Whimsicott, Alcremie, and Zacian. I'm pretty sure I emphasised just how insane this team is before, but I still can't get over it. It has so few weaknesses, and any weaknesses it has can be easily countered by Zacian. And let me just say before any comments mention it, I really did consider Popstar Pikachu as a member of the team. But you know, I just can't picture Ash's Pikachu being okay with wearing this beautiful get-up during battles. So, as much as Pikachu in a dress would have been incredible, the idea was very short-lived because I don't think that Pikachu would have been okay with that. To test how strong this team is, I asked two of my friends, Gree and Albab, who play Pokemon competitively, to briefly evaluate the team in terms of game logic, to see if it's as viable in the games as it is in the anime. And this is what they said. Mr. Mime's Psychic type is great at dealing with Poison type Pokemon, and it has good speed too, but its bulk kinda sucks. Wigglytuff is just kinda awkward really. None of its stats are too impressive, but none of its stats are too bad either, except for its speed. That is very bad. But its moves like Hyper Voice, Wish, and Flamethrower could really come in handy. Clefable is just like Wigglytuff, but superior in every single way possible. Great bulk, great offenses, phenomenal move pool, and two incredible abilities, Magic Guard and Unaware. Even a Dragonite with 6 Dragon Dancers set up won't do a thing to Clefable. Whimsicott is speedy and can hit quite hard too, and it has useful utility with its Prankster ability. But to be honest, it's super frail. Alcremie is slow and frail, but its reliable recovery and its good special attack are fantastic, especially when boosted by its G-Max Finale move. Finally, Zacian is one of the most broken Pokemon of all time. It has the highest attack in the game, a huge move pool, and the coveted Steel Fairy typing. Zacian is so fast that it makes even Greninja and Tapu Koko look slow. And even more incredibly, it gets both close combat and Psychic Fangs to deal with the team's only weaknesses: Steel-type Pokemon and Poison-type Pokemon. Zacian is disgustingly busted. Overall, this team is really well balanced, with both offensive Pokemon and defensive Pokemon, and it can even handle its few type weaknesses really well. So there we have it. I am honestly shocked by the strength of this team. I think it could possibly be in the top 3 strongest teams of the entire series. It has so few weaknesses, and I genuinely cannot comprehend how any opponent would ever defeat this team. And now, with Ash Ketchum's Fairy-type champion team concluded, we are down to the final team. What if Ash was an Electric-type champion? I cannot believe we've made it this far. I honestly never expected it. One more type to go, and it's gonna be a big one. So, let me know what Pokemon you think would be on Ash's Ultimate Fairy-type team in the comments below. And I guess I can't really ask you this time to let me know what type you want me to cover next, because there's only one left. Smash the thumbs up button and subscribe too if you enjoyed. And on that note, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.